interest. Anyone has any interest they need to declare, I'll do that at the appropriate time during the meeting, and just a reminder, update your interest register. Public forum, we have one public forum presentation, Mr. Lindsay Wood. Welcome, Mr. Wood. I want you to come forward. You've got 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thanks for the chance to present to you today. I guess if you're anything like me, you're pretty sick of me coming before you and talking about climate change, but I'm a bit like climate change itself. I'm not going to go away until the problem's properly addressed. For all that, I do try to be constructive and to see a problem as an opportunity, and today I wish to talk about a big opportunity, i.e. what I see as a big problem. And it could make our city a lot better if, in fact, we address this systemic issue with our planning processes. It alarms me personally terribly that in spite of huge efforts by yourselves and by council officers, our planning processes fail chronically to give due attention to the huge issues of climate change, ocean warming, sea level rise, and ocean acidification. This is a two-way problem. We're not preparing for the massive impacts these may have on us, and we're actually doing very little to curb our own contributions to making them worse, and particularly on fossil fuel-based transport. So what's the opportunity that I'm wanting to interest you in? I suggest that this committee promotes a standalone council policy on climate change and ocean change, and that this policy should be reflected in all our other plans. I see that not only as a possible circuit breaker to get our planning back in sync with these issues, but it might also see an end to me appearing before you like a cracked record as well, which we'd all welcome. I do want you to give this really earnest consideration. I'm not suggesting this frivolously. These are massive issues, and this could, I believe, be a real help in addressing them. I've given a recap there of several reasons why, just a reminder why we should address these issues, but I won't read them through. I respect you have got time constraints. But I think it's worth commenting, even the Prime Minister's Chief Science Advisor, Sir Peter Gluckman, actually says, look, we've got to get past the pseudo-debate that he calls it, that's promoted by the skeptics of global warming. So over the page, apologies for the typo on the first word there, but I do want to talk about what I see as the symptoms of what I've called a systemic problem. That's quite a serious criticism to level at our processes. And I've based these just on my own involvement. On climate change and related issues, I've in the past 18 months made 5 submissions on plans. I've listed them there. I've made 4 presentations to council. In fact, it would have been 5, except that Her Worship the Mayor ruled my concerns on procedure were too potent for council to hear before voting on the long-term plan last year. Every one of my submissions highlighted the serious lack of attention given to these huge environmental matters. In no case did council take issue with what was presented, and in no case could I detect any significant influence they had on our planning. Our planning seems determined to remain oblivious to the really big implications of all of this, such as how a low fossil fuel Nelson might even work, the risk of, to tourism of carbon footprint aversion, which is a real issue, options to defend places like the Wood against sea level rise, how ocean acidification might affect our marine-based economy. Even this morning on the news, there was an announcement that the warming temperatures have caused a huge influx of pests. They're now invading for the first time the viticulture industry. Grass grub is invading it for the first time. So I'm putting to you that such persistent inability to engage with these issues is a systemic problem with our processes. So how should good citizens of this gorgeous city view this collective expression of council? Because I see it as a collective expression. Whichever way you look at it, it's not a good look. Do you not believe the climate change information, but don't want to stand up and actually say it? Have you been poorly advised? Don't you share the global view that these are important matters? Do you lack the time to come to grips with it? Or worse, can't be bothered? Is it in the too hard basket and you can't figure out where to start? I could have sympathy with that. It's a wicked problem, but we have to get on with it. Are the mandated processes, do they exclude these issues? I don't think so. Could the mandated processes leave you without enough time to do it? Quite possibly. Maybe you understand the issues but have private reasons not to ignore them. I certainly hope that's not the case, or other things. So it's a deep embarrassment to me to be in such a wonderful city with a council that's so switched on in so many ways and yet so switched off in this, what I see as the most important issue of our time. I'll close by just paraphrasing a submission I made to council last September. We must review our processes to better capture critical issues without deluding ourselves the flawed submission system is a safety net. Scientific opinion is overwhelming on the reality and urgency of climate change. Addressing this won't be done until you actually have us doing what's needed to protect our wonderful city into the future. I believe council can address this. I believe council should address this. And I urge this committee to get the ball rolling and make a serious start on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I hope you get my text, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, apologies for lateness. Thank you very much, Lindsay. Sorry I came in, it's okay, missed the start, but as it happens, I was chairing a public meeting last night at Victory Community Centre, which featured the screening of a movie called Thin Ice, which was produced by Victoria University. It's a really good film, suggest everyone sees it. But there were about 100 people there, which was great. It does occur to me, though, listening to you, that we are publicly elected representatives of the public, obviously. Now, I personally get more emails from members of the public who are concerned about there not being enough parking than I get emails from members of the public who are concerned about climate change. What do you suggest I do?
Thanks, Councillor Laurie. My feeling is that the council has to take a lead. I don't think the council is purely a reactive organisation. You know, there are some places where we have expertise or access to information that's not at the public arena. And to make submissions on this sort of thing, to text you and say, hey, what about global warming? It's not really sort of tech stuff. It takes me a lot to prepare for something like this and gather the information and then front up and say to you guys, I think you've got a systemic problem. And I think, to be honest, we can't expect everybody in the street to either have the time or the passion to do that sort of thing. But I think we owe it, like me and you guys and the officers, to actually put and train the processes that gets to grips with these issues, gets a picture on them, and then puts them before the public. It's a difficult thing to do, and I sympathise with that. In the same submission I paraphrased from, I made the comment that I can read stuff in the plans about cracks in concrete, but I can't read anything about flooding the woods, sort of thing. And so I don't have a good answer for you, but I sympathise with it, but I don't think it should be just saying, oh, well, more people text about their rates, so therefore that's more important than climate change. Thank you.
there was the resolution on the 21st of April. 3 months later, it goes towards the end of July.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Ward and Councillor.
On the rentals, the rental property one, but we also said that we would do what we could through our regulatory means to encourage the upgrading of properties. If there's anything happened there, perhaps we could find out what might be done on that as well.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the Eco Advisor has been following up with some properties that we're aware of, and we're working out what other mechanisms we might be able to use so we can come back and report on those as well. But we certainly have taken some immediate action.
Councillor Markham.
I was just wondering, given that this problem first became very, very publicly evident in some instances happened in Dunedin, in the student flatting area, I'm surprised that they are not working faster. Have we had, what is the feedback you have from the Dunedin City Council as to progress that they're making?
So through you, Mr. Chair, apologies, it was Mr. Brown that's had the conversations with both those councillors, and unfortunately he's not here. But I certainly know that I think they're slightly in the same space that we were when we first came to you and reported, and that is, it's a difficult area and they're trying to work out legislatively what they can and can't do. So there's just some question marks around that.
So it'll be at least next year before we get into it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, possibly, yes.
So I move that the status report be received. Councillor Ward, Councillor Lloyd, seconded Councillor Ward. Any discussion? With the motion, those in favour? Against, carried. Chairperson's report. The only alteration or only change, addition that I would make is that in terms of the land development manual, the information section for stakeholders at Saxon Pavilion this Wednesday will be co-chaired with our own GM Infrastructure Mr. Willis joining Mr. Thompson, so both councils will be represented in terms of the senior stakeholder workshop. So I'll move that by Chairperson's report be received with contents noted. Councillor Fulton, any discussion? Councillor Laurie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 3.9, the item about the petition calling for Nelson City Council's plastic parking slips to be replaced, I'm assuming, with the more environmentally friendly material. I'd be really keen to see some progress on that issue, or for the idea to be explored. Is there any, are there any moves within council to look at that issue?
So through you, Mr. Chair, the issue is being looked at by officers at the moment, and we're more than comfortable reporting that back to you in the near future. So we know that there are other options available nationally around ticketing, but we just need to look at the cost implications of that and bring back some information.
Thank you. And do we know when we might be hearing back?
Short answer is no. There is a
Look forward to it.
the parking strategy one is actually doing away with the ticketing system altogether. It's just straight to electronic, so there's no paper at all.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to congratulate Phoebe Carter, Taylor Bay, Rebecca Rickards and Kate Newton for seizing the initiative. I've heard a lot of people mention this to me over the last couple of years, but these guys got organised and got it here in your report, which I think is great.
Councillor Ward?
It's on this one. A friend of mine, Rotary Club, cleaned up the stream beside the warehouse car park, and overwhelmingly the waste in that stream was the parking ticket. So perhaps a notice to folk out there saying, look, actually dispose of them sensibly might be a good start, because this stuff ends up in the sea, and everybody knows, well, at least I hope more people know now, that plastic floating around in our ocean is a vast problem, and it may seem very small, but it just simply taking your parking slip and doing something more responsible with it than dropping it on the ground is not a big ask.
We move the second. Those in favour? Against, carried. Next one is parking and vehicle control bylaw. it. I'll take your report as read. Anything you wish to sort of raise or bring to our attention?
Mr. Chairman, take the report as read. I'm happy to take questions.
Questions about this department? Is there a question, Councillor Ward? Councillor Parker?
All of the proposed parking marking changes are logical and
Okay, moved Councillor Barker, seconded Councillor Copeland. Any other discussion? Put the motion, those in favour? Against? Carried. Move on to the report on freedom camping. Approach taken by other councillors. This is a response from a public forum asking for a report. This is a report coming back.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the report reports on two other council approaches to freedom camping. It concludes that we did through the annual plan process agree that we would undertake a strategy around freedom camping. That work is underway, and we are recommending that we wait for that strategy to be finished, which will be done this year, before we make any changes to our freedom camping approach.
And I understand the consultant has usually been on planning council. Any other questions? Councillor Ward? Was it Councillor Ward or Councillor Laurie? Councillor Laurie.
Thank you. Question through the chair to council officers. Is there any sign of regulation coming down from above when it comes to freedom camping for this summer? Is Parliament considering anything that might affect this situation? Are you aware of?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, not that I'm directly aware of in terms of any legislative change.
Other questions?
yes, it would be pleased if I could see some real action taking place. As late as yesterday, we had a meeting at 1 o'clock, and I drove up the car park, Luxon car park, and drove around for 3 minutes. So, 3 minutes, the place was full before I could find one. I did notice freedom campers there in Luxon car park in the middle of the day, living out of the back of their van, cooking and taking up car parks. So we've dabbled and dabbled in trying to fix this freedom camping. It is a problem in our city for some years now, and so I'm really looking forward to something coming out of this consultant being here and the studies that are being done, something that will actually work for all concerned. We have the motorhomes and the places where these people can be.
Councillor Ward.
I suspect the visitors sort of picked up something from Kiwis tripping around Europe in their combis over decades and decided they'd come into payback time. But during our discussions around this policy during the last term of council, we talked about publicising the outcomes we were looking for, signage which actually said if you are coming into our community, these are our expectations. I don't know whether we ever did anything like that or whether we have, and if we did, how widespread it is. That would seem to be not an unreasonable thing to have around. You know, there are behaviours which are reasonable, and I every local authority should be doing this. But you know, when you're in New Zealand, these are the things we expect, and it's not just visitors from overseas that I suspect. I've just earlier in the year freedom camped from here to Bluff, and there were no camping grounds along the way, so you have to behave responsibly. In most places, just there wasn't a camping ground to stay in, so we camped by the side of the road. That signage out there, do we have such signs?
So through you, Mr. Chair, there's some information on the council website around freedom camping. We do follow it up with some information that we share with those freedom campers, but we are aware that signage is one thing we need to think about.
Councillor Laurie.
Thank you very much for indulging me, Mr. Chairman. One of the things I'm just sort of wondering about is whether or not sometimes we confuse people who are holidaying in their cars with people who are living in their cars. And I'm just curious as to whether council officers are aware of people now living in their not, maybe that's something we should think about for the future, because there may be something we start to see.
So through you, Mr. Chair, nothing has been brought to my attention with regard to people living in their cars. I'm certainly aware of the issues in Auckland. Haven't yet seen those, so as far as I'm aware. But noted in terms of an issue.
Recommendations been moved. Councillor Barker. Do I have someone to second? Councillor Roy. Who you can choose from. Any other discussion? Put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thanks very much. Last item on the agenda is the National Policy Statement on Urban Development Capacity. Ms. Wayman, I think, and Mr. Hill. Take your report has been read. Anything you wish to highlight? Or?
No, just to reiterate that we're generally in support of the policy. It's a way to ensure sufficient development capacity. So we'll be aware of the implications that will be in terms of resources to do the assessments and the potential need for plan changes if we are deemed to have insufficient capacity. We had hoped to have that by now, but we haven't got it yet. We'll be getting that draft submission from LGNZ today.
Okay, questions?
That's possible.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we could undertake to circulate that by email.
That would be really helpful if that's what the proposed recommendation is. I think we need to be aware of the submission and factors.
I've got a couple of questions. One is we have two options. One is that we could make our own submission to the Select Committee, or we could rely on LGNZ to make the submission on our behalf. Is our position that different from the position adopted by LGNZ?
We haven't seen theirs yet, but we
In terms of targets I'm talking about, I suppose.
yeah, it's hard to say. But some of the issues that have been raised, and there was
Is that different? How different is that from what we're normally doing anyway?
it would be more regular. So we've done a bit of this work for the Nelson Plan, but we'll be doing that every 3 years, and probably a little bit more detail than what we do. So for the long-term plan, we tend to look at the overall number of lots we need, say for residential. We'd be doing a bit more detail in the type of housing and the specific locations.
And the subsequent question is that when we're sort of looking at the data, we're looking at the same data as proposed in the NPS. Because you end up with what I end up with an argument is that you get to come to a conclusion and everyone starts arguing about the data.
That's why it would be good to get that methodology, that guidance on it, so we are all consistent across the country, and we have a robust methodology for it.
I can just say to that, that's one of the key messages that we feel coming out of councils, so we anticipate that some of the LGNZ will be raised. And the other thing to note is from the number of residential developments historically business land. And so that's where the additional cost will be for us. It's maybe really about getting a database together of helping out with our business owners as well, business land and forest space.
Councillor Wood?
I'm presuming any stock take would include underused or inefficiently used land. And as I, for instance, on the commercial front, as I go around the city and the CBD and out in the residential areas as well, I see areas where the land isn't used particularly well. You know, there is large areas covered by car park, for instance, which the airspace above it is clearly vastly too valuable to just simply put cars on. And again, in the residential areas, so the infill thing. So would that be taken as part of our stock take of light of an earlier submission at forum, of course, the possibility of using land more wisely in order to tackle that other issue, the climate change issue, means that we probably could get dramatically better use out of existing real estate by building that factor in the climate change factor into our planning.
Well,
going to move that in fact we do both. That in fact we make our our concerns known to LGNZ and send a copy of that to as our submission, as a standalone submission. We do not have to speak to it, but I think there's no harm in sending the same document off to the government. That doesn't, to me, sound like an awful lot of extra work. And certainly the amount of time taken to prepare this report would be, I suspect, substantially less time than is required to make a submission. Do we have to speak to it? No, we don't. Unless we decide in the interim that we think that actually there's a good reason why our voice needs to be heard.
In addition to approve what's in the recommendation, and if not included, then a submission be made by the Nelson City Council. Well, we'll take us for the slide of German here, and if you could draft up a recommendation for us to consider. We'll take a break and get it right. That we received the report proposed MPS statement on urban development capacity and its attachment to the report we received. I'll move that. Seconded Councillor Ward. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Now we'll deal with the substantive matters. Ms. Barton, will you ever explain the reason why we've got to the Ministry for the Environment?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just trying to mouth to Mr. Hill just to confirm. The submissions normally go through the Ministry, and then that gets passed through the process in terms of the readings and various other things. So I just need to make sure that in terms of where we lodge it to, it is the Ministry for the Environment, not some other entity.
want someone to move. Someone to move. You moved it. You're happy with that, Councillor Ward? Seconded. I'm happy to second. Happy to second it. Well, any other discussion? Councillor Copeland.
It occurs to me as well through this decision of making our own submission. One of the reasons I think this is a good way forward is it gives us a chance to really turn our mind to some of the local specific issues that we could give more value to through this process. I'm just wondering, do we have an opportunity to actually look at this in more detail? Officers obviously have had a lot of work in this area. We've been very engaged in the process of this policy direction, but as councillors, are you looking for, would it be helpful to have another look at this collectively, given that we are currently putting our own submissions? There was a question, I guess, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah.
Is there any link to the consultation document?
Yes.
And the deadlines to work.
It's not really more information.
So through you, Mr. Chair, I think the critical driver is the submissions close on 15th of July. Right. So we have had a very short window in which to look at the proposed national policy statement. The advice that we've got is that there are some issues, so we're happy to pick those up. We can build in a Nelson flavour in terms of those submissions, so we can give some examples if that's what you're after. And we'll certainly circulate that back through to you, but it may not be in time to actually get some feedback through the process, if that's the issue.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful. If I may, through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just really concerned that the flavour of our local issues here is picked up through any feedback or submission given on this, and perhaps, so maybe just a wash through some, myself in particular, to really have that opportunity to pick up anything that would some creativity that we make up through an opportunity given such a format. And I'm wondering if either an email or a short paper back to council would be helpful prior to the submission being encouraged.
So
That
through
could be carried out. I really appreciate it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we won't have time to bring a paper back to council or committee, but we can undertake, as I said before, to email with what the draft would look like, and if there's some specific comments, we'll incorporate those.
Councillor Ward.
I wasn't intending to load a lot of work onto the staff, and I think probably they've got enough off the top of their heads. And I'm sure that if any councillors have any particular interest or concern, if they email staff, they will. They're not already accommodated. Staff will do that.
The report summarises the information and our issues. To add that, we can email the draft LTNZ submission.
Well, I'm ready to put the recommendations. Oh, sorry, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm pleased the committee is minded to put in a submission, and I think it is important as we are a unitary authority that we do have our voice heard, because we have the ability to put together the territorial and regional council functions and provide quite a cohesive view to government. I would strongly encourage members of the committee that if they have solutions and ideas and thinking that is not incorporated in the government's policy document, that they bring those ideas forward so that they can be incorporated in the advice that in our response to government. Because I do think there is a need to think about housing in perhaps a variety of ways that are more complex than just supplying more land.
Thank you. Right, we'll put the recommendations, been moved and seconded. Those in favour say aye. Against? Motion's carried. I think that concludes the business, no other business, so the meeting is declared closed. So we'll take a break, we'll reconvene, thank you for full council meeting at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much.